Some considerable time ago, when I say considerable time ago, about 5 years ago, two Liverpudlian men, two taxi drivers from Liverpool, came by some golden coloured cups and saucers. One of them purchased them cheap. It was almost like a car boot sale they bought. It was actually a street market type of thing. One of these old street markets they have in the north of England, particularly up at the Liverpool and Leeds and our areas. And he saw these things on a stall there, and he said that it was some sort of Oriental gentleman who was selling them, and he said he was attracted by them for some reason or other, I don't know why. And he asked him how much he wanted for them. And this chap says, you can have them for £5. So he says, great, give him a fiver, gets them the cups and saucers. There are 4 cups and 8 saucers, all made of a metallic substance. Now, when you look at them on face value, you've got 4 little like teacups on 4 little saucers. Now, if you take a saucer in your hand and put one hand on the top and one on the bottom and screw motion, one saucer will turn into 2 saucers. One comes away from the other, but I defy you to tell them when they're together. So you then end up with 4 cups and 8 saucers. Now, what happened was he brought these things home. He said with the intention, he said, I don't know why I bought them. He said, they weren't particularly attractive. He said, but I don't know, I had this compulsion to buy them. He bought the things, brought them home, and then didn't know what to do with them. So he then decided he'd put them in a box in his garage. He said, I'm not putting them up as ornaments in the house. He said, so he puts them in this box and forgets them. And one day he's at home doing some do-it-yourself. His wife's at work and he's looking after his 3-year-old youngster. And the youngster's being fractious, he's crying and shouting and bawling. And anyway, he goes out into the garage to get some tools to continue with his do-it-yourself. And he suddenly spots this box with these cups and saucers in. So he brings them into the house and gives them the youngster to play with. He thought it might keep him quiet for a few minutes. Within very, very quick time, this youngster, who from being crying and shouting, is sitting laughing hysterically. So the father says, what's the sudden change of sort of temperament? And the little lad is pointing at, he said, man. And what was basically happening, this is according to the man who got the plates, there was a light shining through the window of the house, sunlight, a shaft of sunlight shining through the house, the French window at the back house, and it's actually playing on one of these saucers. And there was a hologram standing out of this saucer. And this is how we found out about this thing. Now, over a period, they kept him and his mate, they kept this quiet for a long time, and they played about with these things, and they put lights on them, they did all sorts of things, and they came up with about, I don't know, must have 500 photographs of different things which have come from these plates. At this moment in time, they are creating controversy. There is an argument. There's some people who've seen them and say they're at least 20,000 years old. They had a thing called Schofield's Quest where these plates appeared on there. Well, it was the biggest farce you'll ever come across because it ended up to be about a 10-minute program apparently. They had one so-called scientist on there who turned around and said, these plates, he said, this type of thing were made 100 years ago in Birmingham. Now, he said they were made on a lathe. He told them what the plates were made of, and he gave them this so much zinc, so much copper, da-da-da-da. And then it turns out that when they'd had a look at these plates and analysed them, they got the analysis totally wrong because this chap had been cleaning these plates with metal polish. And these gave them put zinc onto them. So when they took a piece of one of these and analysed it, they found that it had one of the constituents was zinc, which it wasn't. It was part of the metal polish that had done it. So they got the whole thing wrong. Now, the thing about it is, that is a magnified view of the edge of one of these saucers. Now, I don't know whether you can see, it's very difficult from where I'm standing, but if you could see that closely, where's me, it's here, that there, that is all people. Dozens and dozens of people, all carved out along the sides, and it's almost like a biblical scene on it. I don't know whether you can see, I don't know from your point of view. So anyway, that is on the edge of some of these saucers. Now, this thing has been to and fro, etc., over a period of time. Now, we had a mini conference in Leeds a few weeks ago, where these two chaps came and they brought these cups and saucers. Now, I'd been to their home, I'd seen them, because when they phoned me up and told me about this, I didn't believe it. I was a bit straight. I said, look, I'll believe this when I see it. Come to the house and we'll show you. So I went with my son-in-law. They duly got these things out, and they were using artificial lights because, you couldn't just rely on the sun. And they actually had holograms standing off these plates. We saw it with our own eyes. Then I believed it. So then we had this function at, it's usually our home venue in the Centenary House a few weeks ago, where we had a couple of hundred people there. And these two lads came, and they were on a stage the same as this. And they'd never ever given a lecture in their life before, so they were extremely nervous to start with. And they, halfway through the lecture, they tried to get these things, and they were trying to shine lights on it, and we found that we got the wrong light for the job. We needed a light with a beam on. We hadn't got a light with a beam there, and the whole thing turned out to be chaotic. And of course, people who came there said, "Hey, look, we wanted to see the holograms. This is not right. This is, and it was unfortunate. It was a bad experience." Now, some of the people who were at that conference then asked these chaps who got the plates, "Could we see these things sort of in a private situation?" And he said, "No trouble at all." So half a dozen got together. They went to these chaps. They got the plates out, did the necessary with the lights, and they got the holograms. And they were absolutely delighted. So the next thing, in that same meeting where we had the problems, there were several people in the audience we didn't know were sat there who were related or attached to certain universities. And one doctor, doctor male, doctor female together, were sitting at the back of the thing watching these, because they were actually putting pictures on the screen, of course, as well, of photographs they'd taken. And immediately, some of the images they saw in these photographs, they recognized them as identical images to what they were on very, very ancient artifacts. So they immediately wanted to get their hands on these things for York University to analyze them. Now, in the meantime, the American Encounters program got on to me and says, "Look, we want to do a program about these plates. Can we come and see them first to see what they do?" And I said, "Well, it isn't up to me, it's up to the person who's got the plates." But I contacted the people with the plates, and they said, "Yes, send them, tell them they can come." And there was arrangements made, so the Encounters program arrived at the home of these two men, and they were given a demonstration, and the Encounters people were suitably impressed. They phoned me up afterwards and said, "It's got us beat, we've never seen anything like this in our life." So they said, "We want to take them back to America." The two men with the plates, back to America. "We will put the top NASA hologram specialists onto these, let them use their very sophisticated equipment, and let's see what they can get out of these, because the mind boggles. If these two men can do this with a normal light, what the hell can these experts do with their real?" So great. I said, "Well, smashing." Now the next thing I get is the Encounters man comes back onto me again, phones up, and he's very upset. York University have phoned him direct and told him to keep his hand off our artifacts. We want them for England. We're not having our artifacts taken out of this country to America, where we no doubt they will disappear. So he phones up and he's very, very upset about this. He said, "Look, I am not a thief. I don't want to take these and take them out of your hands so you won't get them back. All I want to do is take them there for analysis with the top people in the field, and to make a film of it, of course." He said, "But they can take the plates back with them. But York University will not have this at all." They said, "If those plates and cups and saucers leave this country, we will never see them again." So that's the way it is at this moment in time, in some sort of limbo. So I don't know just how far they've got with them, but I'll go on with what we've got here first of all. When I told you about me getting slides in the wrong thing, I've got that one upside down. So your hologram is going downwards instead of upwards. You wouldn't believe that, and it's one of the main ones. Is it possible to rectify that one? Can I go back? Oh, hold on, I've gone back. I can assure you one thing, ladies and gentlemen, these are the most remarkable things I've ever seen. Now the thing is, if the dating of these things, which they're saying is anything up to 20,000 years old, is true, can you see it? The greys in the... Well, that's exactly what our abductees have been describing under hypnosis. And that's a hologram out of one of these sources. Yet they're saying they're 20,000 years old. How do we get this technology in something 20,000 years old? We can't do this today. So they've got a quandary, because these two chaps who've got these plates, have, as I say, have taken hundreds and hundreds of photographs of them. Now, the thing about it is, these photographs seem to start way, way back in time, at the time of the pyramids, or even before that. And they depict the pyramids not as being made by the ancient Egyptians, but by a race of aliens. Which is very, very interesting, because I could digress there. I don't know whether there's possibly people in the audience who do know, but I received some information only recently from a friend of mine in the States. It was actually Colin Andrews. And he was talking to one of America's leading scientific archaeologists who've been going out to the Great Pyramids. And they've been going and returning and going regular way, these scientists. But I don't ask me how, I've only got very, very briefly, but they've actually worked out that the pyramids are actually formed on some sort of harmonic frequency inside the chambers. They measured, you know, all the size of the chambers and the location and exactly where these chambers were within the Great Pyramid of Giza. And they said that they actually worked to an absolute frequency of harmonics, these. So as a result of that, did months and months of work on this apparently. Getting back to the States once they got these were definitely part of the harmonic frequency, and they came back and brought instruments with them this second time. And they took all these instruments to this pyramid, and I'm no scientist, but apparently they actually focused these instruments onto the harmonic mathematical equation inside the pyramid and activated them. And there was a crowd of scientists, apparently up to 20 scientists there. And suddenly, while they were standing there in this chamber, a figure walked through the wall of the pyramid at one side, right across the front of them, in front of them, and out through the wall at the other side. And the next thing, a huge block of granite which was in this chamber suddenly elevated off the floor and was hanging in the air. And then the next thing on top of that was certain hieroglyphs started to appear on the walls of the inside of the pyramid, which weren't there or weren't visible before. And I think this, all this stuff they were getting as a result of this, it totally blew their mind. Anyway, they're back in America now, and they go back again apparently with much more instrumentation. But what the bottom line of it looks now, because of this, that exactly what I've just been saying, the pyramids were not put there by the ancient Egyptians, but they were put there by an alien race before. And that's what this harmonics thing is proving. So I thought I'd just add that at the time about this one. This is just a look at one of them. Now you see those dark marks on them, they're not always there. You put a light on them, they suddenly start to appear. And if you look at certain ones of them, they'll show you planetary systems, configurations of stars. Now, I can't see from here, but you should be able to see some form of a picture there on that one. Bearing in mind these are photographs of what they were getting on the plates. That is just I saw one of these saucers. You've got your centered part at the bottom of the saucer, and then the curved part comes up at the side. And I saw them play lights on one of these saucers and hold the light there, and it changed from that colour to bright green and then to bright blue, just while they focused the light on it. I'd never seen anything like it in my life. It was quite amazing. Now that is a close-up, magnified, even closer, of the saucers, and they're almost rimmed like one of the old 78 gramophone records. But each rim, apart from the sort of the circular thing, there are small ones in between all these. Very amazingly intricate stuff on these things. I just don't know. Because that's another picture they've taken. I think there's a picture on it somewhere. Yeah, on the top there's one, isn't there? Yeah. No, that's sideways on. Can you? Can you see it, Graham, from there? If you can stand it up straight up. That's it. That's a picture on the one of the pictures they've taken off them as well. How you can get these off of small metal plates like this, it beats me. But there they are. That's it for what it is. Yeah, that's the last slide. Well, it's now nearly 10 to 6, ladies and gentlemen, so I'm